All right, so for all the new people, I hope this isn't the first and last time you're here. Yep, you will. All right, so I've been told I squeak when I walk, and it hasn't anything to do with my shoes. It's because I really want to do it as efficiently as possible and as least expensively as possible. So you'll go check in at a hotel or something like that, and you'll steal these pens. Well, I'm going to show you how to make a pen with these. You can get just any kind of BIC pen, so I'm going to be passing this around so you can see. So start here. And then, of course, there's a guy named Nick Cook who he probably squeaks as much as I do. I don't know. I bid meet him. But he decided to start making pencils using these Pentel P205 Pentel pencils. And so I'm going to show you my version of the pencils. And there's actually, I'm going to hand out a sheet here, and the method that he used to make the pencils is on here, so you can go take a look at it. It didn't really work for me, so I tried to figure out how to make it work. When we had the last Pen Turners meeting that I was able to be here, it said, bring your project, come over here. And that's when I was working on how to make these pencils. And I realized that when I got it done, it looked really pretty, but it's off center. And I'm like, okay, I guess I got to figure out how to make that. This pencil and pen is actually made from a very expensive piece of wood. It was at my office. It's furniture grade plywood. Told you. Squeak. It is real pulpy, so I used a lot of CA glue to actually shore it up, but it actually turned out really well. And then this pencil and pen is essentially the final version. Okay. I've gotten some pushback from a young lady that was saying that she didn't like this particular bump on the pencil and pen because of just the way she was holding it. But other people have told me that they love this design because they can actually hold on to it and write with it. So this paper that I'm handing out right now is actually the items that I'm using tonight to turn the pencil and pens. The links are there to take you to Nick Cook's information. In the sheet that he has on his website, it talks about where to get his special step drill. And so this step drill is actually a 17/64 6-inch long drill bit that has been machined with the top 1/2 inch down to a 5/32 diameter. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So basically, this part right here that's underneath the paper, well, you can't see it, there you go, is a 1/2 inch. It's 5/32 inch, and the rest of it is 17/64. What I figured out is the pen blank is 4.5 inches long. It's 3/4 by 3/4, and then the stop collar is set at 4 5/8, so that it's actually going to come through the bit, and what is left inside is 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch, and that is just enough for the pencil mechanism to go through, engage with the shoulder, and still screw down the actual head so it holds it in place. And once that's done, it just acts like the regular P205 pencil. You have access to the eraser, which is very small and it's going to run out real quick. So that's what that is. So I'm going to show you the process that I figured out that works for me and how to actually keep it centered so that you can actually turn the pencil and pen and you don't have any blowout. So with that being said, there's also a couple other things that I figured out. In Nick Cook's demonstration, he glues the blank to a little jig that he made. And I've also made one. And so he essentially drills it. He drills the blank. Everything's rolling off. He drills the blank, and then he puts the jig in there and glues it to the jig. Okay, I didn't like that. I don't have the finesse that Nick Cook does, so I figured out I would go to Home Depot and I would buy the most expensive piece that I could, and that was a 1/4-inch dowel. Cost me like $1. Okay, and then I just make a little collar on it, and this actually drives the pencil, the pencil itself. Okay, so. And to hold on to this piece, this is basically the stabilizer that goes in the tip of the pencil and the pen and is held in place by, what is this, the Apprentice Pen Live Center. And so it just sits here and just holds everything. And this can move in and out and allow me to get in to finish off the tip. So, and I'll show you that when I get into it. That being said... And I'll pass these around. Hopefully I have time to finish these tonight, but I want to take you from A to Z. And I'm running around 1900 RPM. So I've got Robert Sorby, I've got the drive, and I've got the Live Center here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down. I'm going to make it into a cylinder around 5/8 or so, and that will be the main, and then I'll take that down to about 1/2 inch to finish it off. If you're wondering what kind of wood this is, it's free. It's the best kind. Actually, I got it from here. It was some of the mesquite that was being given away. I think it was, some of it was flooring. So definitely been killed, dried. I believe I cut this down to 3/4. Yeah. I'm taking the finished diameter is about 1/2 inch. So, but the very tip of it is like 5/8 or so, just to give that little tip, and then I taper it in. I also use a roughing gouge. And so I'm basically right there. So at this point in time, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this one down the same way. And then I'll show you the drilling. And I know that it's really thrilling to watch this. However, there's a method to the madness. It's more mad than method, but that's beside the point. So that's the pencil blank. The instead of using the regular T-post, I got this from Best Tools, and I really love it. It's just an inch stock. You really don't have to do anything to it. You just clean it up every now and then. But it gives me a lot of stability, and I like it a lot. Best Tools. I am not proficient on the skew, but it definitely provides a really good finish when you begin to learn it and you're able to sharpen it. If you don't know how to turn wood, learn how to sharpen and you'll get better. Okay, so that's basically it right there. I just mark it so that I know which end is going to be the tip. So there's always a silver lining in everything that we do in life. We just can't see it all the time. I figured out if I put this in front of my one-way jaws, that when I try to remove it, I don't need to really do a lot of hard stuff on it because there's little fins inside there, and I've broken them all off except for the main ones. So that's not so good, but the lathe still works, so I'm happy. I just know that someday I'm going to have an expense. So this is on here, and then I can just basically pull it off. It doesn't get locked on metal to metal. What material? I have no idea. My dad left me a lot of stuff, so thanks, Dad. So I turn this into a cylinder because this essentially is a cylinder inside, and before fully locking it down, I bring this up and make sure that it's going in. And with it going in, I can take this back as far as I can. That way it just stabilizes everything. And once this is in place, I lock that in place. It is a little bit wobbly. It goes right in. Okay. So anybody here work for the government? It's close enough for you. All right. All right. So this is the pen. So I'm not going to be using this. I'm going to be using these two 5/32 inch diameter drill bits. I'm going to start with the small one to set up the actual guide hole. Because once I have that done, if anybody has anything in there stuck in their teeth after dinner, I can get it out with a toothpick. Okay. I have this because obviously this is mesquite. It's going to bind. I want to get all of that stuff out there to keep the friction down as much as possible. So I get the guide hole going first. People have asked me in the past, why does it take you so long to do anything? It's because I'm setting everything up. And that should be good enough. All right, so once I have this done, I don't lock the tailstock in place. I just basically put it in place, take it in, pull it out, and it saves a little bit of time. Because I've already started the guide hold. So if you don't have a step pen, okay, a step drill bit, because I was not able to find them the other day, preparing for this, I would use this method and have 3 drill bits. The small one, this one, and I would take it all the way through, and then I would turn it around, or then I would take it all the way through, and then I would drill the other one up to where, like I showed you, 4.5 inch length, and take it 4 5/8, and that way you've got that little bit for the shoulder.
What are you on the speed right
now? 500. I'm drilling the pin just under 5 inches, because when you go to these hotels and you steal their pins, that's about how long it's going to be. And that's good enough. So for time's sake, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and drill the pin blank so that I can go right into the turning. is a little bit off, but Robert, this is government work. Make sure this is good to go. This one's for the pencil. Yes, sir. And again, I have my the collar set at 4 5/8, 4 5/16, excuse me, so that when I get done, and I'll show you, the drill bit will actually be extending out of the end, and hopefully, if I did everything correctly, it will be pretty centered. And you saw how it moved quicker? It's because it went through. And that's the exciting part about drilling these things. That's why I use this. All right. This is where this very expensive jig comes in. Now, if you could look at this, can we get this one? All right, so it is almost centered correctly, but not quite, but it's government work, so it's good. And this piece. And this is the stabilizer. And so, as you can see here, when I drilled it, I drilled it from the wrong side. So, I should have drilled it from the other side. So, it's actually been reversed. So, it actually came out a little bit further. So, what do we call this, Nick? We call this a design change? Is that right? Okay, so we got a design change here. So, so the beauty in this is that it slides back and forth, and we can actually adjust it however we need to, depending on if we need more tension on it. And once this has been locked in, we're basically stabilizing it. Okay, and it is off center. Okay, but the beauty about this thing is you can lock it in place and speed it up. And it's not going to fly off unless Nick is closer.
Now we can't tell that it's off center. It's good.
Yeah, right. The faster you go, it's good. This. And again, if I drilled this correctly, there's about 3/16 of an inch inside here as the shoulder. Because this step drill bit has a shoulder on it, I'll pass this around so you can see it. There's actually a shoulder here. It goes from 17/64 to 5/32.
That didn't go all the way through.
This did not go all the way through, just the very tip.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
I thought you read.
So I've got these marks on here. And I've got a tri-point tool here, which essentially is going to be making those little indentions. I did run it through till the tip came through, but the shoulder didn't come through. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So I've set these that gauge to about a 1/2 an inch. And so I'm there. Pull that away. Make sure I don't knock off my tools. And I like to burn the line in.
Use any kind of wire, or like if you use guitar wire, I have guitar wire.
You know, my dad left this for me, so I have no idea what it is. No? Yeah, pretty much anything. You can actually use a business card. Just clean up this end here. And there's a number of things you can do on the tips and ends. I'm just going to basically take this down a bit. And that is essentially it, with the exception of the tip. Because the 1/4 inch jig basically is holding it in place and this is stabilizing it, then I can finish up the tip. Hopefully not tear it up. Good so far. So essentially, it's finished. So move this stuff out of the way. And we'll go into the most exciting part about this whole thing, sanding. I'm going to start about 150 and just kind of get it through there. The pins I've been making at home, I've been finishing with CA glue, because that's what I had. I'm going to end up finishing them with just like a hut finish. One, prevents me from gluing my fingers together, which seems to happen quite a bit. The other nice thing is I can pull this out and it still turns, and I can finish the whole thing. This is 150. If I was at home, I'd start with 60. I'm going to stop at 800. Let's see what it looks like with some polish on it. This, by the way, is apparently on sale over at is it over at Rockler? I know it's on for sale over at Woodcraft. It is for sale over at Woodcraft. $20-some or something. I'm like, nah, that's too expensive. So, and this is just a friction polish. That would be a yes. I'm putting on the gloss hut just to see if it does anything more. And it does get hot. This is the Pentel 205. This is just the barrel. Small end. This right here, let's see if we can see it. Where my fingernail is, there's a nut. And that is where the shoulder is going to be sitting on. So you've got about 5/16 of an inch coming through. Screws down. You still have access to the actual eraser. Make sure there's still lead in there. Yep. And it writes. And accountants use this design, use this this pen, that pencil all the time in their businesses. If I turn this correctly, this has already been set, so I don't need this anymore. I'm going to lay it out the same way I did the other one.
You mean the one that had the design change?
You know, the internal portion of it. I've got about 3/16 inch here, and then I just put in the regular design. It's just slightly over 1900 RPM. Okay, so I'm good there. Okay, could I have the pencil back, please? The one I just finished. Is this it? Okay. And the reason why I asked that for that back is no, not because Nick keeps stealing them. But what I want to do is I want to make the pen and pencil basically the same length. The tip of the pen itself is about 3/16 of an inch. And that is it, basically, essentially. Now I got to take care of the tip. I made the jig so that I could actually get down inside here and finish the whole thing without having to really worry about too much. The only part I'm going to have to deal with is in there. And of course, once you have this thing parted off, you can pretty much finish it in any way you want. No. I started with 100, now I'm at 150.
So you never know about these meters. Is there anybody watching from home?
And here's the fun thing about this. Just 780.
Is that a sponge?
It is a sponge. Most likely, because it's a sponge, it's going to grab it because you're not going to be able to grab it on both sides or just basically turn it, right? So you'd have to turn it counterclockwise. So
The last grit you used?
I use 400 on this. It's end grain, so it's easier to finish. So